actual webinar.
So then, Robert, you're going to cue it over to Facebook?
Yeah, it's actually ready.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're so excited to have you here for our move-in webinar. I think we're going to give it like a minute or so to let people jump on the Zoom. So we're also streaming live on our Facebook for anyone who isn't able to get into the Zoom. So we like to spend this first couple minutes just testing out that Q&A feature. So if you're here with us on Zoom, or if you want to get in the Facebook comments, maybe pull up that Q&A option and tell us where you're joining us from. All right. Lots of Kansans, but lots of people joining us from all over the place. Awesome. So if you have questions as we go, you'll know how to use the Q&A. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to start with introductions. So my name is Jordan Wolf. I'm the Assistant Director for Student Outreach and Student Staff Development. I've worked at K-State for a few years in housing and dining, and it's very fun. Also joining me tonight is our Director of Housing and Residence Life, Nick Lander. And then later on in our webinar, we're going to have our friend Jennifer from Lafine come to talk about some immunization requirements. Also wanted to highlight, we put on the slide here some contact information. So you'll notice that there's like two different sets right here. So that move-in hotline is a phone number and an email address that we have specifically to answer move-in related questions. So if you can shoot us an email, we check that pretty frequently. You can also use that phone number, maybe like primarily to text, but either way we can get you answers pretty quick if you have some specific questions related to move-in. But wanted to point out that that is a different phone number from our normal office phone number. So at the top there, it says HDS office with our regular like day-to-day phone number and email. Just in case you need to contact us about more general questions or once kind of move-in season is over. So wanted to highlight that. Okay, so to talk about what we're going to discuss tonight, we're going to start by talking about things to think about before your move. So some tasks that you'll want to complete before you come to campus, what you might want to start thinking about in terms of packing. Then we'll cover what happens during your move, so more specific details about the move-in process, give you some helpful tips, talk about what's kind of available in the room, what you should and shouldn't bring, things like that. We'll talk about the process of things that you'll want to do after your move, so as you're starting to get adjusted to life in the residence halls. We'll go over some important dates, talk about a timeline for our move-in season. Then Jennifer's going to join us to talk about those vaccination requirements and specifications. We'll touch on some things, fun stuff going on our social media, and then we'll end with our Q&A. So a couple notes about our webinar tonight. So as you know, hopefully we've started practicing with the Q&A feature on Zoom or been commenting on our Facebook Live video. So I have a lot of friends here joining me who are able to answer your questions right away. We'll also kind of gather up those questions, see if there's any that we need to like include. And as well as, that contact info for us is down at the bottom of the screen if there's something that you think of later on. Also good to know is that we are recording this webinar. So it's going to be posted on the website afterwards. So if you have friends or family who you think wanted to join, they'll still be able to see it even if they couldn't join us tonight. All right, so to get started, I think this is our first slide that Nick is going to present. So welcome, Nick.
All right, thanks, Jordan. Well, I know a lot of your questions are about what you need to do prior to move in and to prepare for move in. So we're going to cover that in the next few slides. So there's some requirements that we have you complete before you select a move in date and time. Some of you may have already started doing some of these things. And so the first 4 steps are items that you can do before you schedule your appointment. And those are to acknowledge our handbook. Our handbook covers all the rules and regulations that students need to know. You'll verify your phone number to make sure that we have that accurate. Again, that should be the student's phone number. We'll have the student enter their emergency and confidential contacts, and then also make sure that they've applied for a K-State ID card. Note that item number 4, so the check mark for the ID card, may not show up until their ID card has actually been produced. And so it may not show up immediately once you've submitted a photo for that, but our team is checking that information regularly with the ID center, and we'll update that last check-in, step number 4, as soon as we can. So once we send out the check-in appointments email, which will come out on Tuesday of next week, we will send an email to students' K-State email address, letting them know that they can go onto our website in the resident portal and sign up for their move-in time. And there are a couple different ways to look at this, and we'll cover those a little bit more in the next slide. But you'll self-select a check-in time based upon availability that we have in the schedule for either early move-in, August 17th or 19th, or regular move-in, which starts on August 20th, which is when the residence hall contract officially starts. As noted there's a $55 per day additional charge for early move-in. So a couple groups that have kind of some special circumstances. So our marching band is going to arrive extra early this year because they have practice earlier than usual because some of our band members are going to Ireland for our football game against Iowa State, which actually happens before school starts. So marching band is coming a little bit early. They will arrive as early as August 9th. And we'll move in and so they can get to their various rehearsals over the course of that week. The other group that we work specifically with is those that are going through sorority recruitment, and those folks will arrive as early as August 16th. So what's really vital here is that those students who are participating in either of those groups have worked with the contacts or registered for those events so that we get their name from those groups. So in order for us to set it up so you can access those specific dates, we need to know that you're participating. So band members, you should have gotten an email from Courtney about early arrival, and so you should reference that. I've gotten an initial list from Courtney, but there may be a few additions there. For sorority recruitment, it's the same thing. You need to register for participating in sorority recruitment, and then I get lists from Fraternity and Sorority Life about who's registered to participate. So I do know there's quite a few women who probably have not signed up yet for sorority recruitment. So I encourage you to do that as soon as possible. Again, there's an early arrival fee with $55 per day. With these groups, band members, Courtney has given kind of specifics about the charges in the email that she sent. So please reference that. So some pre-arrival tasks, things that will happen after you've selected your move-in appointment. So once you've selected your day and time, then will get an email confirming that day and time, and will give you access to a move-in arrival parking pass. So it's important that you print that off and display that in the dashboard of any vehicles that you're bringing on move-in day, so that we know that you're there for a specific time and that sort of thing. So you'll access that pass, print it off. It is required that you print that off and have it in every dashboard of any vehicle that you're bringing with us. This is not your K-State parking permit, so it's only valid on move-in day. Once you've moved your items from your vehicle, then you'll move it to another area that's further away from the residence hall so that other students are able to park closer as they need to move their stuff in. So some optional tasks or things that you might want to take care of before you arrive. So one is to take care of any tasks that you need to do in Casis, which is your student account online. One thing you might want to do is if you want either parents, guardians, others to have the ability to access any information in your account, you can do that for Casis. If you want them to have access to any of information for housing, you have to do that separately in the housing portal and update your contract accordingly. You also can sign up for a payment plan, which is called TIP. If you are looking to do that, there's more information on the cashier's website. Or you also may want to sign up for EFT in Casis. So if you happen to get any refunds, they can be transferred electronically as opposed to waiting for a check. The other thing that you may do is do some things with parking services. So if you're going to bring a bicycle, we recommend that you register your bicycle, which is free to do. But doing so allows us to know which bicycles should be on campus. And if for some reason your bicycle is misplaced or stolen or something like that, that way they have that additional information about it. The other thing you would want to do is order a parking permit if you plan to bring a vehicle to campus. We certainly suggest you do that at least one business day before you arrive. But it should be open now to start purchasing in the parking portal. So as a residence hall student, you would want to select a residence hall permit, and that's where everybody starts. We do have parking lots that are closer to the residence halls. So on the Derby side, that's the D lots. On the west side, where Kramer Dining Center is, we are our GM parking lots. And those are determined as on a point system. So people always ask, how do I get an upgraded parking spot? Well, it's done on a point system that we worked with our Association of Residence Halls a few years ago. And those upgrades are done after the first day of class. Students don't need to apply to be considered for an upgrade. Every student is in our system. And they accumulate points based on a number of different criteria: completed credit hours, their age, how many years they've lived on campus, etc. I would note that it's pretty rare that first-year students get upgraded for that. But that's our system for determining who gets to park a little bit closer to their residence hall. And then some things to bring or not to bring. Oh, this is Jordan's slide. I'll send it back to Jordan.
Sure. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about things to bring to the residence halls when you move in. So at the top of the screen here, we have a QR code that will take you to the residence hall handbook, specifically to the appliance policy, in case you want to refer back to things we talk about on this slide, but also just because it's good to get acquainted with that handbook and make sure that you know the policies. So first off, with appliances, a refrigerator would not be provided in our residence hall room. So if you want one, you should bring one. But please note that any refrigerators that you bring need to be less than 5 cubic feet. The reason for that is like electricity, not overloading the outlets. So sorry, but that'll be the max that you can bring. Also, students might choose to bring their own microwave. The Wefald Hall residence rooms do have microwaves in them, but any other residence hall would only have one centrally located microwave in the kitchen. So if you think you're gonna microwave things a lot, you might want to bring your own. Again, please make sure that that is 1200 watts or less to make sure that we can keep all of our electricity on and not cause any problems. So also, you can think about bringing small multi-purpose cooking appliances, 3.5 quarts or less, just avoiding things with an open heating element. Again, just check our handbook if you have specific questions, or you can always reach out to us on that HDS Moves. But residents are also allowed to bring air fryers if you want. That's a popular one. But please note that residents should only be using those in the kitchen space. They shouldn't be using those in their room, just to, fire safety. So moving down to laundry and bath supplies, remember that laundry is now included in the residence hall room rate. So you don't need to bring quarters, anything like that, but you will want to get some high efficiency laundry detergent. Also, I think our friends in maintenance would want me to let you know that those scent beads are very popular, but our washing machines don't like them very much. So if you could leave those at home, I think they would really appreciate that. I think just many people doing laundry all day, I think it starts to clog up. So, also, thinking of your bathroom, if you're in a suite style room, we do provide shower curtains, but they're just not the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So if you want to bring your own decorative shower curtain, you're more than welcome to do that. And if you want your own liner, that's okay too. I would just watch and make sure that it's long enough, because if you get like a short one, you don't want water coming out of the shower and onto the floor. That would be very messy and cause problems. So, if you are in a community or traditional style residence hall, and you're going to be heading down the hallway to use your community restroom, it would be smart to bring some sort of shower caddy so that you can easily like carry all of your belongings back and forth. General room items that you'll want in your student room. All of our residence hall beds are twin XL size, so that's the sheets that you would want to bring. If you want to have an extra comfy bed, you can bring your own mattress topper. And then also in thinking about if you want to hang things on your walls, it would probably be a good idea to stick to command strips or other like products that are geared towards being easily removable. If you do use those command strips, please follow those instructions for how to remove them, because we don't want to, I don't know, you don't want to like kind of rip a whole patch of paint off. So follow those instructions. And then a lot of the residence hall rooms have that kind of open closet, and so some students like to get creative and use some sort of like a tension rod to kind of hang curtains over that, if you would prefer that to not like look all open and stuff, or just using a curtain rod for your window. Tension rods are just a great way to be able to hang things up without, again, like having to hang things or causing damage to your room. If you want to spend some more time looking at this topic, we have a lot of good web pages related to move-in. They're very easy to find on our housing homepage. And this QR code takes you to the what to bring page, in case you want to refer back to that. All right. So we've talked about what to bring, but we also should probably cover what not to bring. First of all, fire. Please don't bring candles or incense to burn to the residence halls. They are not allowed. It's a fire hazard. Please leave those at home. Along those same lines, the appliance policy that we covered, the whole goal with that is avoiding those exposed heating elements, to make sure that, you know, we're not causing excess fire hazards. You don't want to set off the fire alarm and make your whole building evacuate, because it would be a little bit embarrassing. I'm sure everyone would forgive you, but just leave the space heaters at home probably. Also, probably not the best idea to bring contact paper. It does make for a very cute atmosphere, but when you go to take it off, just trust us, it's not going to come off right. It's going to cause all kinds of damage. You don't want that in your life. So maybe think of other ways to decorate other than contact paper. Also, along the lines of decorations, those LED light strips are so beautiful and create a great ambiance. But they also come with that like roll of adhesive that again just like rips the paint directly off the wall. So those actually can be hung with push pins, so that might be a good alternative. But again, we just would caution, like it's probably not a great idea to stick those up on the wall with that provided adhesive. Another last one not to bring. So, I'm a dog lover, so I get it. I've seen lots of families like bring their family pet along with them to kind of say goodbye to their student. Totally get that, but it might not be the best idea. So if you have an approved service animal or an emotional support animal, those animals would be welcome, but it's probably not a good idea to bring just your family pets. They're not allowed in the residence halls. It gets very hot in Kansas. Not a very good situation. So leave your family pets at home, say goodbye to them before you go. That said, we do allow some small pets. So again, there's a QR code over here on this screen. So that will explain all of the like details about which animals would be allowed under that policy. So if your pet qualifies under the policy and if you've had it approved in advance, then you can bring that pet with you on move-in day. But make sure that you do that before you bring the pet into the residence hall.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about your actual move-in day and what to expect. So on move-in day, again, we'll send out some additional details in early August about what to expect and what you need to know. When you arrive at your building at your appointment time, the resident's going to go into the lobby to complete a quick check-in process, and everyone else can stay at the vehicle. And then student needs to make sure they bring their photo ID and their phone, because there's a QR code that they're going to scan that's going to walk them through those final steps of check-in. At that point, we will give them their keys, and if we have their ID, if they have not picked it up prior, then we'll give them their ID, assuming they've ordered it far enough in advance that it's gotten over to us. And then they're at that point able to start unloading their vehicle and taking the stuff to their room. Don't arrive early. We have scheduled move-in times for a reason. Our goal is to spread out the crowds throughout the day so that we're not super busy. Our elevators hopefully won't have lines that are too long. And so if everyone shows up at a different time than what they've scheduled, it becomes a problem. So please do not show up until your appointment time, and then we're going to be excited to see you and help you get started with your move-in. So some things to bring with you. If you happen to have a dolly or cart that you can bring with you, we highly recommend that. Definitely helps. We have some, but we certainly don't have enough for everyone. This is one that seems fairly common sense, but it's on here for a reason. Make sure you pack items in boxes or tubs that actually fit through normal size doorways. Sometimes folks get a little overzealous and packing huge boxes and then realize that maybe they don't fit through the doorways. You might want to put items in totes or bags or other ways to bring them here. We get a lot of cardboard recycling, so if there are ways to minimize that, that'd be great. We do ask that you only park one vehicle at a time in the unloading zone. Again, that's just so that everyone has access to the closest space as possible. We do prefer that at least one person stays with the vehicle. And again, as soon as you're unloaded, we want you to move that vehicle out of the way because someone else needs that spot to move in. So we hate to have to come and track down people and say, hey, we need you to move your vehicle, but we will do that. Or we'll give some announcements over our PA to remind folks to do that. Certain days, certain halls are going to be busier than others. So just expect that based upon the audiences that are selecting on those days. We will have volunteers on the busiest days helping us. A variety of students will help with that, including our Leadership Summit volunteers. So I'll take a pause for a minute to talk about Leadership Summit because I know we had some questions about that. Leadership Summit's a program for students who want to arrive a little bit early. They come on Sunday before. And at that point, they will go through a series of leadership workshops. We'll talk to them more about how to get involved on campus. And then in exchange for them coming early, we don't charge them that early move-in fee. And they help us as volunteers on move-in days so that we can help students get in quicker. So that should be what folks need to know about Leadership Summit. Those who have applied should get something back relatively soon, letting them know. They will sign up for a move-in day and time just like everybody else, and they'll get instructions on how to do that from our folks that are coordinating that program. We do ask that, again, we get a lot of cardboard from refrigerators and microwaves and every other thing that you may bring. So if you'll help us out and break down that cardboard as flat as you can get it, if there's styrofoam in there, remove that and put that in the trash. We try to get as much of the recycling into that as possible, but our dumpsters do fill up pretty quickly on the busiest days. So anything you can do to help us make the most space of that, we definitely appreciate. So there's a QR code here. If you want to scan that, you can see what's provided and lofting instructions on those pages. So let's talk a little bit about lofts and bunking. The rooms are not all set the same when you arrive. We actually have summer conference groups that are here the Friday before move-in starts. We still have groups that are here for summer conferences. And so we're using those rooms throughout the summer, and they're going to be left however they were with the last occupants that were there. So if you get to your room and it's not the way that you want it, then you can submit a work order, which you can do online. in the resident portal. And then our staff will get to it as quickly as possible to help do whatever needs to be done. If that's moving it down lower, if you want it lower, lofting it or bunking it, whatever we can do to help. We do recommend that you don't try to do this on your own. We don't want you to get hurt, and we also don't want the bed to get damaged. So our maintenance staff are the ones who know how to do that best. So they may not be able to do it immediately, so you may have to have some patience with that, but we'll get to it as soon as we can. If you are lofting or bunking and you need a ladder, please submit a work order. We're happy to provide a ladder to you. Sometimes that may already be one in the room, but sometimes there may not be. And so we'll work with you to get a ladder to your room as soon as possible. The furniture that's provided in the room is an extra long twin bed, the desk chair, a dresser or a built-in closet, dresser, and a closet. All the furniture that we provide needs to stay in the room. So even if you decide, okay, I don't want my bed lofted or whatever, those extra pieces need to go under the bed or behind the bed. We don't have storage to take those other places. There is some furniture dimensions on our on the What's Provided move-in page. So if you scan that QR code, you will see that. Another thing that I know has come up, people were asking questions about the Synexus machine. So you may see in some of the photos, or if you visited, you see this big disc that's on the wall. So that's a Synexus machine, and it's basically an air purifier, dry hydrogen peroxide, that does a great job keeping the air in your room clean. And so we want you to keep those on throughout the year. And I will say that not every single room has them. There are a few rooms that may not have one, but the majority of our rooms do have them, and they have been very helpful in keeping our rooms the air clean for students. Room arrangements. So certainly decide amongst your roommates where you want to place items in the room. You need to make sure that you leave space around the HVAC, which is the heat and air system. So there should be a sign on it that says to leave at least, I believe, 3 feet. And so the reason for that is that the HVAC system uses a combination of air from inside the room and air from outside the room. If that gets blocked, then the system has to take additional air from the outside, which means it's typically hotter and typically has more moisture. And so that's where we tend to end up with issues where students feel like their room is very humid. So please make sure to leave space around the HVAC. If our staff see that things are blocking that, we're going to ask you to move things so that that doesn't happen. So outside of orientation tours that you may have already participated in, or maybe you are part of the last groups that are coming later this month, we do orientation tours, but we're not able to provide tours of your specific building or your specific room all the time. And the reason for that is, as I said earlier, we have groups that are using those spaces during the summer. And so we just don't have the ability to show every single room in our system to students. So there should be quite a bit of information online that will help you as far as planning how you're going to use the space. Certainly on our building web pages for each of the residence halls, there are floor plans and dimensions listed there to help you with that. So after your move-in, there'll be some post-arrival tasks. We want you to meet your RA if you didn't during move-in. For those of you that are part of residential CAP communities, you'll meet your residential learning assistant or your RLA. They're going to help get you connected to all sorts of different campus activities. We'll have our first floor meetings and K-State kickoff events. You'll get to meet other people and learn more about ways to get involved and things you need to know. You'll be able to update any contact information, autofill with your new mailing address, register your computer with ResNet. If you haven't already done that, that's available on our website as well. And certainly will be an information that we send about move-in, how to make sure your computer is registered or other devices that you may want to be using in your room. And then you'll learn more about how to successfully upkeep your room. So if you need to submit a work order because something's broken, we encourage you to do that, so our maintenance staff know that something needs to be repaired. And then there's an option on there to select permission to enter. That allows our maintenance staff to address the concerns if you're not present. So if you don't select permission to enter, then they have to wait till a time that you're available to come to the room. And so selecting permission to enter will get that addressed a little bit more quickly. Some other things that folks need to know. This coming year, we are very full. We have more students, first-year students who are living on campus, and we also have more students who chose to return to live in the residence halls again. We also have some buildings that are under construction, renovation, so half of Moore Hall is under renovation. We currently have Boyd Hall offline for renovation, and so we're going to be full. So we'll be at 100% capacity this fall. And so if you happen to have a roommate issue or a room need to change, those are going to be very tricky to do. It may require a person-for-person swap. So if we happen to have two people maybe on the same floor that want to swap, we can make that happen as long as all parties are in agreement to that. We will help residents with getting along with roommates, completing a roommate agreement when you arrive. It's a very good idea. So typically the things that cause conflict can be addressed, but the challenge is how you discuss the conflicts you have. And so we know that that's stressful for students, but we have staff that can help walk you through it and facilitate those things as we go. So if you do have an issue with a roommate, please contact your RA or our community coordinator, assistant community coordinator. The earlier we kind of know that there's a challenge, the sooner we can get involved and help you all solve those issues before they escalate. But it is going to be a very challenging year for folks that may want to change rooms. We're likely not going to be able to do any of that potentially until the spring semester. And then this covers just some important dates for those of you that need to see it kind of in a calendar format. I'll note that the left-hand column says Saturday, so keep that in mind. It's not Sunday. Room and board charges, I believe, have gone out to CASAS or will be going out next week. So you'll start to see that. Early August, we will send you move-in day details to residents. And then again, early move-in on Saturday the 16th for sorority recruitment. On Sunday, early move-in for anybody who wants to come early. What's not on here is marching band coming on the 9th. And then on the 18th, we have no move-in scheduled. We keep that day open so our staff can get a little bit of a break. And then Tuesday, again, an early move-in day. And then on Wednesday is when any students based on their contract can start. We do encourage first-year students to arrive by the end of the day Wednesday because there are new student orientation activities happening on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We do have a cool pancake feed that we do for the entire campus on Saturday evening. So we hope you'll attend that. Also, they're planning some watch parties for the football game that's that morning around campus. And then there's some events on Sunday, and then classes start on the 25th. And then through the first week of class, we have a variety of events that happen on campus through Week of Welcome. And then just a note, if you want to change your meal plan, if you're at the all access meal plan, you want to change it down to the 12, September 15th is the last day to do that for the fall semester.
Awesome. Okay. So our next slide here is just to talk about some ways to get involved once you get on campus. So we talked about, all the way through your move-in to your first couple days. But we want to make sure you have a fun, good time and make some connections, make some friends while you're here. So we've talked a little bit about the Leadership Summit. I know Nick mentioned that earlier when we were talking about their move-in process. If that sounded interesting to you, we do have a QR code here to that application. So just as a reminder, that's August 17th through 19th. You're going to participate in some workshops, learn some new skills, find out how to get involved, and you can still, the application is still going. Speaking of getting involved, each of our residence halls also have a hall council. So that's just a group of students who are interested in making a fun community. So they advocate for changes that they want to see or for fun events, and just create a fun and inviting atmosphere in the residence halls. Also, if you're still looking for a job on campus, our partners in our dining centers are still looking for employees in a few areas. So that other QR code on the bottom is also linked to the dining employment page. So yeah, we hope that you'll get involved and work with us on campus. Okay, so our next slide, I think our friend Jennifer is here to talk with us about immunizations and things.
Hi, Jordan. Thank you for having me here tonight. And my name is Jennifer Lopez. I am the health educator at Lafayette, and I'm also with the Morrison Family Center for Student Wellbeing. And tonight, I'm just going to go over a few requirements that you're going to need to meet in order to live in the residence halls, whether that be on campus or at the Jardine Apartments. So the Kansas Board of Regents policy is that students must provide documentation about or your meningitis vaccine, or you have to complete a waiver to meet the requirement. So for your immunization requirements, you will require 2 doses of the MMR vaccine, which is your measles, mumps, and rubella, or you need to provide a lab report that confirms you have immunity. You need at least 1 meningococcal ACWY vaccine. Make sure that that's on the report at age 16 or older. And again, this is only required if you're going to be living in the residence halls or in kindergarten. We do provide waivers for students who are interested in completing one. They can be downloaded from the MyLafine Plus patient portal. If you do submit a waiver, students will be required to quarantine off campus in the event that they do become ill. And of course, you can find more information on our website on K-State's page. So you can, once you have your portal information, so like your K-State Wildcat ID, you can upload your vaccine records to the MyLafine Plus patient portal under medical clearances. Also, if you have a copy of your health insurance information, you can upload that information on that portal as well. And of course, you can always call to schedule an appointment to receive any required vaccinations or to complete titers. So a little bit about tuberculosis. It is caused by the bacterium Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It is spread airborne from one person to another through coughing, talking, singing, and being in close proximity to others. It does affect the lung. However, it can affect the brain, spine, and your kidneys. And some symptoms that come along with this include cough that lasts 3 or more weeks, chest pain, and coughing up blood or sputum, which is phlegm, which is found deep inside the lungs. So we do request that students complete a tuberculosis screening with us through our portal. All students have to complete the tuberculosis questionnaire. Again, it's under medical clearances under the patient portal. And it might be required for you to receive TB testing if any of the information is yes on that form that you fill out. And again, please call Lafine if any of your answers are yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Jennifer. We appreciate it.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Cool. Okay, so before we jump straight into that Q&A, we're wrapping up here, but we have some exciting stuff going on our social media. Our marketing team does an awesome job of putting out really good information there. So if you have the time and ability, you might want to give us a follow. So tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Time, we're going to do a live Instagram Q&A. Also, our team posts move-in tips on Tuesdays, so that could include videos of what to expect in your room, tips for keeping up your room, and more. And then also, we have on our website and on our social media the ability to see virtual tours, so that could help you kind of know a little bit more about what to expect. So you can follow us at K-State HDS on Instagram and Facebook. And if you've done so, then you've probably seen Tour Guide Willie having some adventures this summer, including our new ice machines that we are extremely proud of and grateful for. The ice machines are a very big hit. Okay. So with that, we've made it to our question time. So I think Nick and I are going to hang out here and answer some of our frequently asked questions or anything that kind of needs to be discussed on the webinar before we end tonight.
I do have one I can cover real quick that's already been given to me as one I saw in the group. And that is parent parking passes for move-in day. So you would just use the print off parking pass that we send you. So again, make sure you have one for each vehicle. So assuming you're just staying for the day for move-in and your cars are parked in residence hall lots, you should not be ticketed. Now, if you're going to go to other parts of campus, then you may need to buy a visitor permit for those other parts of campus. But for the residence hall areas, you do not need a special visitor permit for that day. You'll just use the move-in permit that we send you.
Nick, one of the questions that's come up frequently is, can you review what type of laundry soap can be or is preferred to use? Can they use liquid? Can they use pods? Can they use detergent sheets? What do you recommend?
Yeah, from what I've heard from our maintenance folks, any of those options are fine. Certainly the pods are popular and the sheets have become more popular recently, and they're super convenient. Obviously, you don't have to carry around a big jug of, laundry detergent or whatever. So any of those should work. As Jordan said earlier, the little scent beads aren't necessarily recommended, but the other options would work just fine.
I saw a couple questions about vacuums. Most of our front desks do have things like vacuums for our students to check out using their K-State ID. They also might have other like cleaning supplies or cooking materials or even like, I don't know, basketballs and random things like that. So board games, puzzles. So make sure to check out your front desk and see what items they have available for you to check out.
I did see one here about property insurance, which I think is a really good question we don't get very often. So we would highly recommend you get renter's insurance when living on campus. Certainly something you should keep when you live off campus too. Sometimes you may be covered under your parents' home or renter's policy, but that's something you should talk to your insurance about. But we highly recommend it just in case something happens that you have some coverage for that. So there are some companies that we work with. We don't necessarily recommend a specific company, but we do have some information available if folks are looking for other groups that they may want to work with on renter's insurance. And typically renter's insurance is relatively cheap for students to add.
I've been seeing some questions about furniture. One thing to note is that all the furniture that comes in your room has to stay in the room, so you shouldn't be removing any furniture. You can bring your own furniture, but I would just, from experience from my years as a CC, you run out of space kind of fast. You want some space to move around. So I don't know that I would bring anything too large, but you can bring some things in as long as they're not going to cause a fire or something.
Another one I've seen a few times on there has to do with the early arrival fee. So the early arrival fee exists because your contract starts on August 20th. So those are dates that we have a certain number of days that are in the contract. And so you paid for those days or you will pay for those days as part of the contract. The early arrival fee covers our costs to be open early for you to be here. So that includes your meals while you're here, all the staffing, all the utilities. And so that $55 is not just a fee that we randomly put out there. It actually is to cover our costs for being open early. So it is something that students have to pay. For marching band, again, I would refer to the email that Courtney sent regarding that. We're working with Dr. Trace on how to make that all work for you all, since you are coming so many days early. But for other groups that you may be participating in, Compass or Jumpstart or others, you still have to pay that fee. If you happen to be an employee with Housing and Dining Services and we require you to be here early for training, you don't pay that fee. But for everyone else, it is a fee that you will have charged to your CASES account. So you don't need to bring cash or pay it when you arrive. It'll be billed to your CASES account and you can pay it after that date.
I also saw some questions about people thinking about moving in after that first day of the contract. You can move in later in the week. There are some K-State kickoff activities and fun stuff happening Wednesday, Thursday, and onward. But you don't have to move in that early. You could come a couple days late.
There's a question specifically about sorority recruitment and moving in on Sunday as opposed to Saturday. It's kind of up to you. I think there are some sorority activities that start on Sunday, which would be the 17th. So the majority of sorority recruitment participants will likely come on the 16th. But if you want to come on the 17th, that's certainly up to you. Another good question, does Lafine offer counseling on campus? Yes, we do. We have counseling services, which is part of Lafine. And so students can see counselors there right across the street from Marlatt is where they're located. So that's definitely a service that we have on campus.
One question I saw that came up a few times was, Jordan, I think people were for the 20th and the 21st. So I guess some people are hearing that as long as they move in by 4 p.m. on the 21st, they'll still be able to attend all the orientation events. Is that correct?
I believe that's when the orientation events kind of would start, but if they
At
moved in
4
later
p.m.
than that, it wouldn't like prevent them
Right.
from attending things. It's just that they might miss some things.
Yes. So I think what needs to be clarified is that they can move in on the 21st and still attend the events that are happening.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Steph.
There's been lots of questions about candle warmers, air fresheners, oil
Yeah.
diffusers. So could you talk a little bit more about that, Jordan?
Yeah, for sure. I think I saw, yeah, like room sprays and oil diffusers. From the sounds of it, I think both of those things would be allowed. Yeah, I think just avoiding anything that might cause a fire hazard. And also maybe being mindful that if you use like super strong scent, that could maybe not everybody around you would love that, but I think it's probably a safe thing to bring.
Nick, we're getting a couple of questions about lockable drawers in the dressers and closets.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those. So if I recall correctly, the only locations that have a lockable drawer are Goodnoe and Marlatt. Jordan, I don't think West does, do they? I don't remember
I'm
if
not
West does.
sure.
I know the others don't. And so I would recommend if you have a portable safe, if you have things that you need to lock up, that you get a portable safe and bring that with you. If there is a lockable drawer, and like I said, I know that Goodnoe and Marlatt have them, you'll have a key that will lock. Typically, there's 2 drawers, so one for each resident in 2-person rooms. As far as dining goes, so we will have dining options available for early move-in. It'll be Derby Dining Center up until the 20th. And then on the 20th, Kramer will also open, I believe, for the evening meal. And so both dining centers will be open the rest of the week after the 20th. On the weekends, Derby is open on Saturdays and Kramer is open on Sundays. We don't serve a Sunday evening meal, so that's the one meal a week that we do not serve. And our dining hours are located on our website. So if you're curious about when they're open, different options within the dining center have specific hours as well, obviously depending on the meal. If it's around breakfast time, there's certain options, around lunch, certain options, around dinner, certain options. So all that information is located on our website. If you go under dining, you'll see dining center hours located there. And then probably our most visited part of our website, honestly, is our menus. So you can go on there every single day and check and see what's being served at each dining center throughout the year.
Another question. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
Another question that has come up a few times is about when they can sign up for their appointments. So I just wanted to make sure that we could clarify when they're going to get the email with the information and then when that's going to go live. So could either of you talk about that, please?
Yeah, so the email about move-in appointments will come out next week on Tuesday. And so at that point, students will have a link to click, and then they'll go in and select their specific day and time for move-in. You don't have to pick the same day and time as your roommate. That's done individually. In fact, it'd be pretty rare that you probably move in at the same time, typically. And again, there's a certain number of slots available per every 15 minutes. So that's so we stagger the move in throughout the course of the day. So, and again, you can complete those 4 steps now in advance that lead up to that. I know the ID one is one we get a lot of questions about. Again, we will get updates from the ID center as they produce cards, and the check mark will go on as soon as cards are produced. So if you've submitted a photo already, great. If you picked it up, great. If you haven't, we would suggest you do that ASAP. And there's a link on that page in order to access the website where you would submit the photo to the ID center so they can produce your photo ID. So if you aren't making a special trip to Manhattan, you've already come for orientation, you don't necessarily have to make a special trip. They will send them over to us and we will have them available at the front desk for any IDs that had not been picked up previously. Again, that's assuming you don't order it the day before you show up. We need a little bit more time than that for them to get produced and over to each residence hall.
Nick,
Nick,
one of the questions that came up was, which apps do we recommend that they download? So beyond the K-State HDS mobile app, can you talk about the University Safety app? Or the K-State
That's a-
HDS mobile app is one that we would recommend that you download. That would tell you your meal plan balance. It would also tell you your cat cash or dining dollar balance. It's also a great way to enter work orders currently, and also be able to see what the menu for the dining centers is on that particular day. So it's a great option to look at this moment in time.
I think another one that students are often recommended to use is called K-State Safe. It's one that our campus safety recommend. Has a number of safety features on it that students would find helpful. The ability to contact police if you're in an emergency, those sort of things directly from the app. Also has what's called a virtual walk home. So if you're in real time, you can connect to somebody and you can they can follow along, so they know that you get home safe. And so there's lots of good safety features there. And then I think, is it still TELUS, Jordan? I was going to look it
I
up.
think so. While he's looking that up, we're talking about an app that has some mental health resources.
Yeah, I think it's still TELUS. I know it changed last year, but I think it's still TELUS. And it's a 24/7 support option. It's available in multiple languages. And if students just need some help, especially after business hours, it's a great option to connect with someone that can help them. I saw some other questions. Let me see here.
Hey,
I've
Nick,
seen some
can I
questions about.
jump in real quick?
Oh,
It's
sure.
Jennifer.
Yeah, sorry, Jennifer.
Okay, no, sorry. I wanted to talk a little bit about TELUS because it is changing for here in the future. We are going to be having students more go towards the 988 as opposed to using TELUS Health. Once we do have the information for the new company that we are going to be using for mental health services, that information will be shared with students.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, no problem.
Nick, I also saw a few questions about power strips. I didn't know if we had specifications on those.
Yeah, I mean, just typical safety things that you hear. It should be UL approved, so that way we know it's a good quality power strip. You should not plug power strips into other power strips. And so certainly something that's very common because there's not a ton of outlets in the room. So certainly having one available to you would probably be a good idea. Now, if you plug 2 refrigerators and your hair dryer and your microwave all into the same one, then you're probably going to trip a breaker. So you need to kind of be thoughtful about that part. But power strips are a good idea. The apps, the one I recommended was K-State Safe. And then 988 is the one that Jennifer was referencing to kind of replace TELUS. A lot of people ask about air conditioning. All of our residence halls are air conditioned. So good news. In August, I'm sure it's going to be nice and cool weather, but all rooms have air conditioning, so you don't need to worry about that.
Can you do a quick review, or one of you do a quick review about how students can get involved on campus? There's been a few questions about both employment and then also just how to get involved in student organizations.
For sure. I did see a couple people asking about maybe like CA positions. I think we've filled a lot of them, but we do usually keep that community assistant application open throughout the year in case we get openings. But we also have that's just a good way to kind of work in your residence hall or in the dining center. But in terms of more like involvement focused, within housing and dining, if you want to just kind of meet the people around you, you could join your building's hall council. There's also the National Residence Hall Honorary, which is like kind of an honors group for students who live on campus, and the Association of Residence Halls. So more of that kind of campus-wide leadership. And also our friends over in, oh, what's the acronym, Nick? I forgot.
Um,
SPI,
SPI,
Student
yes.
Programs and Involvement.
Yes, that's
Oh
right.
no, I'm a horrible campus partner, but they are really awesome. Our pals who work there can give you a lot of good information about joining campus-wide organizations, which would provide a ton of variety for everybody's different interests. So lots of very good ways to get involved on campus. Yeah. And also, like maybe just a side note on that is, we talked a little bit about your resident assistants. Those are like student employees who live with us and provide leadership and like guidance for students who live on campus. And that's kind of who I would be asking about how to get involved on campus because they would probably know the most like random, obscure like groups that you can join. So make sure to get to know your resident assistant to get like the most out of your experience for sure.
Just to
following up-
expand, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Steph.
So I was just gonna expand on that answer a little bit, Jordan. So people are asking about other areas on campus, and so Handshake is the program that K-State uses. And so if you're interested in applying to campus jobs all across campus or anything like that, within housing and dining services or throughout campus, then you can go. So I would just search Handshake on the career or on K-State's website, and then it'll show you how to get registered for that. But that's how you would apply for a campus job.
Nick, there's a question about holiday breaks and how we handle those. Do students have to move out during those break times? Do they have to check back in? Can you just do a brief overview of that?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first I would tell students to reference your contract because all those things are outlined in the contract. We do close during break periods. So that'd be fall break. So that's the week of Thanksgiving. We are closed for the majority of that week because students don't have class. And then for winter break, so once finals are over in December, there'll be a number of weeks that we're closed until classes start back up in January. We do offer the option for students to stay if they prefer to stay. There's an additional cost for that because the majority of students don't stay, so we don't want to charge everyone for it when they don't need it. I will say that during those times, our dining centers are not open, so we have housing available, but not meals. And but for those students who are not going to be staying, then you don't have to take all your stuff home. You just take the few things that you need for that break period. So for fall break, for example, it's a week. So whatever you need for that week, and then but the rest of your stuff can stay in your room. We'll give you instructions on what you need to do with anything in your room. We do have room checks that our staff do before they go home to make sure there's no, left behind pets or things that shouldn't be plugged in that are plugged in and that sort of thing. So we'll give you instructions on what to do there. But yes, if you do need to stay for break periods, we do have an option for you, but you don't have to take everything home for every break. And that includes winter break. Again, just take what you need for those weeks and then come back in January for the spring.
Nick, there's been quite a few questions too. Can you just remind people which parking permit they need to purchase for the residence halls.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about. Okay, so I've seen a lot of comments. I also see it on Facebook quite a bit where folks are confused about parking options. So as a residence hall student, you'll pick a residence hall permit, which should be, I think, $198. You have the option to add the garage for certain hours. It's not all the time, but you can add the overnight and weekends, I think, for an additional $22, I believe. It's kind of up to you as to whether or not you think you're going to use that. The parking garage is not necessarily close to our residence halls. It's a little bit of a walk, mostly from the Derby side. It's a little closer to the Kramer side, but it's an option. So some students, if you're going to be at the Union a lot, or maybe you have classes near the Union, or you work in that area, whatever, you might want to get a garage permit. But most students, I would say, just buy the residence hall permit. And again, we will do upgrades for the closer parking lots based on the seniority system after the first day of class. Going back to air conditioning, there was a question about if there's limits. So the quick answer to that is yes. We allow a certain range for you to change your thermostat. Certainly our buildings are, for the most part, relatively old. So, they don't have the most modern heating and air systems like your home does. And so they rely on cold water and hot water running through the pipes. And so when the weather changes in the fall and in the spring, October-ish, and then typically in March, it gets a little tricky, but you have a certain amount of control. I will say those living in Weefald have a little bit more control because it's a newer system than our other buildings. But yes, you can set the thermostat, but there are some kind of set points that you can't go above or below during certain times of the year. I think we've hit 8 o'clock. So I think we've answered the majority of the questions. Any last minute ones folks would like for us to cover, those that are monitoring the questions? One I've seen a couple times is whether or not you can have a alarm or a Ring doorbell. That's not common with our facilities for privacy reasons. Having a camera in the hallway probably isn't the best idea. And so all the rooms have a peephole, so you can see out if you need to. But having an alarm or a camera is not something that most students have on the outside of their door.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out just if there's any last ones that we need to answer now. But just as a reminder to everyone, we're uploading this video later so you can watch it back if you think you missed anything. And we also talked about that HDS Moves contact information. So anytime that you contact us, we're going to be able to get someone who can answer your questions. So if there was anything that we missed tonight, please feel free to let us know and we'll get you an answer as soon as we can. Okay. All right. I think we're about to end our webinar here. So thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you soon.